Thank you for joining for today's session. Today is session number 20. And let me introduce today's hiring manager. So, well, my name is Evgeny Kim. I'm a managing director at company SkillsJump. And we have Dmitry Kochubey. He's a software development engineer test lead at Cogility Software.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, Dmitry, for joining.
Yeah.
So quick disclaimer, today is an educational event. We, all our managers, hiring managers, they all represent only themselves. They do not represent the company where they work. Yeah, so just keep it in mind. We do not promising any job opportunities here. Okay. And if you the first time here, let me tell you how it works. So all our participants, they have to prepare with just two questions. The first question would be, tell me about yourself. And the second question is, what did you do at your last project? So both questions are limited in 4 minutes. So I'll be keep tracking the time. And after that, our hiring managers have opportunity to do follow-up questions. Pretty much the same thing as it happens in their work routine during the hiring. And the most important, and I think this is the most valuable here, is that we'll give a feedback, honest and direct. In the end, we'll tell you what went well and what should be improved. And hopefully it will help you to increase your interviewing skills. All right. If you the first time and you're curious how you can participate in this session, so basically you have to go to our website. We'll send the link here, and you will see the link in the description as well. So you go to our website, you fill out our form, and then one of our volunteers will reach out to you and invite you to onboarding session. We do not filtering our candidates based on their experience, unless if the experience is right. I mean, what I mean is we see their legit experience, no fake experience there. Okay. If you graduate from any boot camp, from or you just stuck in your work and you cannot pass the interview, or you don't get the feedback, you are welcome. We'll give you a feedback here. What do you have to improve, or what you have to change in your resume, or you know, that's why we are doing this. Okay. All right. So I think this is it. Let's start with Irina. Let's start with the candidate number 1, right? Candidate number 1. Hi.
Hello. Now I suppose you hear me, guys.
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you now. All right, candidate number 1. Please share your screen with us, and let me put the timer. And once you're ready, let me know.
I suppose I am ready.
Okay, great. Okay, candidate number 1, please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your last project.
Thank you for the question, guys. Appreciate this opportunity, Eugen. It's great. So about myself. So I got through the 2 boot camps and the college as a database specialist, and the boot camps were devoted to the QA mainly, manual and automation. So at the moment, I'm able to create a testing framework from the scratch if it would be Selenium, WebDriver, Python as a scripting language, and approaches BDD, Cucumber, and POM, Page Object Model. So any words about my project under testing? It's SAS, Software as a Service, and it's a cloud-based application which has a hardware embedded. So company sells network devices, and it means that my application has at least 2 layers, floors, common access, and the second is a private client accounts. So here is concentrated the majority of my test cases. So how I work, I have access to the test trail where I see the test cases combined in groups based on the functionality, and I am borrowing them as steps and make my test cases in the automation framework as close as possible to what I see in the test trail. So my regression test case is around 180 test cases. So briefly, that's it regarding the project. And I'm able to work in an agile environment with everyday Scrum meetings. Last time as a Zoom meetings. So work in close cooperation with my manager and developers as a reliable suppliers of reliable locators. So I think briefly that's it. If you have any particular questions, please ask me.
Awesome, thank you. Dmitry.
Should I ask right now or after previous 2 steps?
You can ask right now.
Okay. You said that you create only automation test and you doesn't work with any manual scenarios, right?
Nope,
You
I just didn't. Sorry, interrupting you. Continue, please.
Yeah, you just work as a 100% automation engineer.
Last time, yes, but if remember what I said before, I told that I got through the 2 boot camps. One of them is a manual and the second one is automation. I just concentrated on the last one, which is automation. But I also able to work as a manual QA tester, which is a person in charge who verifies that everything on the screen of his or her devices is not truncated, overlapped, misaligned, of proper color and font. And if to go deeper to the gray box testing, even use the Chrome developer tool to use a get attribute and to verify that this or that element is located where it's prescribed based on the business requirements. So
okay.
If I found the deviation between expected and actual behavior, I just report a ticket to Jira. Of course, after I reproduced it many times, and it's for sure the bug, not enhancement. So after that, we work in cooperation with the developer to fix it and close the ticket.
Okay. And how long does it take to execute all your current automation scenarios? Like
okay.
in general.
If we are talking about that one which I described, the 180 test cases, it takes around a half of hour overnight. So half of hour in one browser, and the last trend we tested in only one browser in Chrome.
Okay.
But if we will add something like Firefox, Safari, and one more, so we have only one channel in the browser stack, so it will take, we should multiply just on the quantity of the browsers, half of hour for every of them. So instead of half of hour, it would be 4 hours to test it in 4 consequently.
Why it takes 4 hours if you run against for 4 browsers?
30 minutes multiplied by 4 would be 2 hours. Arithmetical mistake, sorry.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. No worries. Okay, and do you run your automation test in parallel or like one by one when you run in one browser?
One by one, consequently, because we have only one channel in browser stack.
Okay, okay.
And we don't use a Selenium grid.
I see. And yeah, pretty good performance for automation tests. And all of this test is a UI, right? Or
Yes.
there is a mix, UI and API?
Look, regarding the API, I am able to test REST API from the same environment from the PyCharm Professional. If I would upload a couple of libraries, JSON and requests.
Okay.
But mainly we test REST API in the Postman using JSONs. And following that, I can inform you that since last time, since the Selenium WebDriver introduced the version 4, it stopped to use a W3 protocol on the Selenium driver side and started to use the same protocol. JSON wire was previously used. Now it uses the same protocol W3 on the Selenium WebDriver side, like on the browser side. So it means that we have less flaky tests and the time is shorter, and the general reliability got risen.
Okay, but how it related to API tests? I just didn't get it.
How do I execute the REST API test?
Yes.
Okay.
You said that you can do it in PyCharm, right? Or in Postman?
Both in Postman and in PyCharm. And except that I can just see what is going on the server side in developer Chrome tool in the network console or using Fiddler or Charles proxy server. But in Postman, we have a say we test something get. It means that we have just a header, no body, and we should have the endpoint, which is a URL address, which would be transmitted into the API address using the DNS technology, and expected time of response, and we should get the 200 group respond and the time which we will see on the bottom part of the user interface of Postman. And more or less it works in the same framework which I described from the PyCharm. Just create the .py file, upload the libraries, and of course I'm not able to reproduce the code from the memory. I will just use what I have did before.
Okay, I see. And all that APIs you test in Postman, do they have authorization or they open? You just hit the API and that's it, or you have to authorize first?
I suppose that you are talking about when we testing logins and passwords. In this case, the URL will have the same what we have in the task. So it would be the search question mark, and after that there would be the pairs, the keys and its values, like login and its value and password and its value. So in this case, it would be with authorization. But I suppose there should be situations when we wouldn't have the strict authorization.
Okay, yeah, it does make sense. And what type of authorization do you use?
Not ready to answer at the moment, honestly.
Okay,
just authorization. Yeah. Maybe you will rephrase it, and maybe it's something about the HTTPS protocol about the tokens.
Yeah, the question pretty straight. It's just what type of authorization, like bearer authorization or login password or OS 2.0 or whatever. It's just related what authorization type you use in your product.
Okay, thank you for this question, but I should confess I am not ready at the moment to answer for that, so I just work with that.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. And what is a big challenge you had in your last project? Mostly technical challenge.
Okay, I should confess that I usually have problems working with unordered and ordered lists. But in cooperation with the developers, I am always resolving it. And I am lucky because I don't have a big technical challenges. So Google still works, and Stack Overflow has a bunch of information, and even Russian sources also have it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and in what language you have this issue? In Python with ordered and unordered list?
Yes, in Python, I'm using the Python as a scripting language. Strictly speaking, at the moment, I am able to work only with Python.
Okay. And how you normally define them?
So find a decision and try to implement it to modernize it based on my needs, and try to run it apparently token, not running the full bunch of the test suite. Then the allure command, behave, allure, and other stuff. Just run it apparently starting from the Gherkin file, which is the top of the pyramid of my test. If it works, so it's done.
Okay, and you said that you had issues with working with ordered and unordered list in Python, right? And you successfully solved it with developers.
Mm-hmm.
And could you explain how you define it in your Python code?
Unordered list?
Yep, and then order.
If I remember correct, in this case, I used the loops, usually 4, and methods of Selenium, find the elements or find elements. Sorry, but not ready to give you the sample literally, just on high level.
Okay, and I have last question for you. And could you tell me 2 most common commands you use in Python on everyday basis in your project?
Look, because libraries permanently changing, I am doing every day such command like pip freeze greater than requirements.txt, and when pushing my file to the GitHub, I didn't mention the git control yet, so I use starting from this git status, after that git add double minus all or space dot, and what else? After that I commit. The command is git -m, and in the code the name of commit. I usually use just the date of commit. After that again git status, and git push and git pull to verify that everything on the local machine and on the GitHub is of the same version. What else?
Okay, and okay, yeah, this is a little bit different answer. Okay, it's fine. And yeah, speaking about GitHub, how you normally merge conflicts? How you normally resolve conflicts in when you push something or pull from master or from whatever branch and you have conflicts? What command do you use and what approach to resolve them?
Cannot extract from my memory that I had problems of such kinds with GitHub, but if I will have, I will go to the Google and then file the decision. It would be the command which is like what I mentioned, starting from the Git and something in the syntax.
Okay. I think this is it. Well, what I have. Evgeny?
Can I ask you, Dmitry?
Yep, sure.
Can you rephrase or make it more narrow regarding what commands of Python did you mean?
Just regular commands what you use when you create your scripts, when you create your code.
In scripts. So I will describe the architecture of my test suite. So the higher level is Gherkin files with a feature extension. The lower there are the second layer, which is extension.py. And here I have in the upper side of that imported needed libraries and the inheritance string, which borrows something from the superclasses here. And what else? So find element if I am needed to find one element, or find elements and I have all elements in the tuple or in list. So dot text, extract text, but it's again not Python, it's more Selenium WebDriver commands. What else? The expected conditions, wait till element is clickable, visible, or invisible, or vice versa. Something like that.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
No, I don't have any. I don't have Dmitry, any questions. Maybe you can move with the feedback. What went well, or what should be improved? And,
okay,
yeah.
Sure. Let's start with what went well. You described your project pretty in pretty details. What tools do you use? What project about? And I would suggest to give more details when you have questions. Like I ask you about API, or I ask you about Python, or any related questions. They should be answered in more details, because they show how you're hands-on with it, right? Because you did describe everything on high level, pretty straightforward and clear. But when we start talking in details, because any hiring manager on technical interview wants to see the candidate experience and level of his practical knowledge. And this part, I would suggest that should be improved. And as I said, and what technology you put on your resume, you should have real experience with them, because if you put something and any hiring manager can ask you about it, and you don't have an answer for it, it's all the time the question about, is it a guy really know how to use it, or you just put it for as a buzzword, I think. And yeah, and because you position yourself as a full-time automation engineer, like you spend 100% time creating code and creating automation tests, that your knowledge in Python and GitHub and Selenium should be pretty hard. And this part should be improved as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. On my side, I would go maybe with more basic stuff. Candidate number one, basic, I would say about soft skills, right? So because you basically starting the conversation and you give how this conversation will go, So it's totally up to you, right? And I mean, not all the time, but it's more, I would say maybe it's more cultural thing, because I also from, and Dmitry, we all from Russia, and in Russia we are not that smiley. We do not smile that often, right? And we do not
That's true.
show excitement. And however, that will give you just much more easier uh, for the interview, so you can make it go more smoother if you show the excitement about the interview. If you know, it was honestly, it was sounds like you were either really tired before the interview, and you know, you came here with this not really excitement, you know. In the real interview, I would highly suggest whatever is happening in your life, it's we totally understand, but do not show that. Uh, come to the interview well sleep before the interview. Come with a good mood, and you show the excitement. Show that you are a very easygoing person, right? And that would be, I would say, that would be the maybe 40 to 50% of the success of how the interview will go, how the rest into interview will go, right? Just make easy to the interviewer to make his job easier, right? Just, you know, if it does make sense. Anyway, I wish you good luck, candidate number one, and you should be good. You should be good. Thank you very much.
The same, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Let's start.
Bye.
Anyway, one more time, guys, if you want to join to our session, next one, please go to our website. I will post it in a few minutes in the our chat. Um, Go to the onboarding session, and yeah, and that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, please post in the Slack channel or here. And yeah, that's it. All right, I see that candidate number two is ready. Hey, candidate number two, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
We're doing great too. Thank you for joining. And if you're ready, please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your last project that you've done.
Sure. I grew up very interested in electronics and computers and radios and so forth, and so enjoyed mathematics and physics growing up. And so I studied the electrical engineering and pursued a Bachelor of Science in Texas at Prairie View A&M, and then I went on to pursue a Master's of Science in Electrical Computer Engineering from Georgia Tech. From there, I was recruited at Sienna Communications, and I did product verification there for a company there in Atlanta. And then most recently, I moved on into do data center type products for a company here in California. And most recently, I've been doing Python, Linux, embedded systems testing, automation for a company in California that focuses on flight test equipment.
All right, maybe can you give the more details about your last company and a little bit more specific about what you have done?
Sure. So I'm responsible for the automation framework for our flight test equipment. Most recently, I completed a project for a Mini-R. It's like a version 2 of the system. This system takes in, flight telemetry type data, video, audio, signals, PCM data, aggregates it and records it. It does like software-defined recording. And I'm responsible for doing the automation framework for it in Python, making sure the scripts are working. We also I do some bash shell scripting to make sure that it's functioning as a network file server, make sure Samba is working, making sure that you can do file transfers, making sure that basically that the system is functioning. And then I hand that framework over to our manufacturing test team, and they proceed to actually run the automation and also write the acceptance test procedure for them so that they can release the products.
Okay, great. Dmitry?
Yeah. This is pretty interesting case that it's like hardware and software. And your automation test is mostly for hardware or software?
Mostly for software. Mostly for software.
Okay. And what kind of software?
So this is written in C++. This software, basically, it does software-defined recording. You know, for like, for example, most recently I worked for a product. We call it Tough Chord, but basically it takes a RS-170. It's just a standard, standard video motion picture video signal. It records it and timestamps it, and it also provides an index file so that you can kind of basically move throughout the file wherever you want. If you want to set a market event, you can. And we also have other like H.264 is another product. It's a variant of that product that's built for another customer. And so, it takes another type of video signal, more high definition signal, and records it and does the same time stamping and indexing, marking of events, and so forth. And then we allow, formatting, and we allow different formats. We can, make it a software defined RAID or a hardware RAID device as well. So there's a lot of different options that we allow our customer to choose if they want to use NTP or if they, want to use PTP, just various time syncing protocols. We support a variety of different protocols and formats.
Okay. And currently, are you looking to change the company or change the entire domain, like from hardware to software or to web?
So I'm looking to expand, expand my career. I enjoy the breadth that I have because I get to do a variety of things in addition to the automation that I do. But I see myself staying in R&D, possibly doing more automation, embedded system type automation, but just kind of allow me to do greater skill set, just kind of expand my skill set.
Okay. Okay. And what framework do you use for automation?
So this is a Behave framework that we use, behavioral driven model testing. It's written in Python mainly. The Python also calls some scripts for some of the automation, but mainly it's Python Behave environment.
Okay. And in your resume, you mentioned that you know JavaScript.
True. Yes. So I basically I know JavaScript. I'm learning. It's basically a work in progress. Maybe I should have updated my resume there, but
okay.
It's kind of a work in progress. Something I've been learning on the side. Okay.
And you learning any frameworks based on JavaScript, like I don't know, React or what else, just Node.js or like? on
mainly,
the vanilla JavaScript?
just mainly JavaScript, or just mainly learning, basic JavaScript. I thought that would help me with Selenium testing and so forth. So that's kind of my motivation behind
Okay,
it.
okay. Let me see. You have pretty, impressive experience.
Oh, thank you.
In hardware and like related software.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to do quite a bit of different things. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. And how do you see yourself, let's say, in 3 years in your career path? Are you going to go deeper to technical as an engineer, or go to the like lead and management side?
Yeah, sure. I see myself in 3 years going more into, deeper as an engineer. I do enjoy getting, basically, understanding the technical aspects of the knowledge of the work products I'm working on. I'm very detail oriented, very curious about technology. With that being said, I wouldn't rule out becoming a manager. I think I have the experience and the breadth to become a manager. I love working with people, and I have good people skills, personal skills, I'm a team player. But I think, I prefer, doing more of a deep dive as an engineer.
Okay, yeah. And regarding your automation framework, it based on Linux, right? It's not like Mac
Yes,
or Windows.
no, it's Linux. Yes, we standardize on Red Hat Linux 7.x for most of our platforms. We do use Fedora for some of our lower end products, CentOS, but it's Linux environment, Red Hat Linux mainly. I mean, we have some we do use Ubuntu and other distributions, but mainly Red Hat.
Okay, and how do you do like UI testing on that on Linux?
I do some. I've done some Selenium testing, but most of it is command line, because that's the bulk of our customers. I've been using that, but we do have some new products coming out where the UI is going to become more important, and so I think I'm going to have to do more of that going forward.
Okay. Cool. I don't have any questions more.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think let's move with the feedback.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes,
Sure.
I love to hear that. I'm very curious and
sure.
anxious.
Yeah. What I can see, your experience is pretty solid, and your understanding of your goals and your current position and pretty consistent. And you from your resume and from what you say, as a hiring manager, I clearly can see what candidate is, right? I didn't do like deep technical screening, but from the perspective, if I would hire some engineers, you pretty nice fit as an engineer, because you're solid and consistent in terms of not only how you explain your project, your experience, your knowledge, but and on the other hand, in terms of your future goals, right? And this is pretty rare on my experience. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
What should be improved? Sure. What should be improved?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but because you moving like step by step in your career, and you keep your way, right? You're growing in your field, and currently you start learning modern UI framework, like I don't know, JavaScript based framework. It can be Selenium or Cypress or Test Cafe. It's like modern framework which don't use Selenium anymore, and I think this is a pretty good call, and just keep moving this way. And what else? Truly, I don't know. It's pretty consistent resume, pretty consistent, like showing soft skills. I would say everything almost perfect.
Okay, thank you. No, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for your feedback. That's good. I like to hear that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, on my side, what I can say that you have, yeah, I totally agree with Dmitry that you have very impressive resume. However, it's more like domain specific resume. So for example, if I have a position right now, guys are looking for QA automation Python engineer, but for web, how would you be comfortable for that? Right. And maybe you would like to expand your curiosity and knowledge in that domain as well. It's obviously it's up to you. And we were chatting with Dmitry about your resume. Like, you probably should go to big companies, right? Like companies who is doing the hardware, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
you would be there a good fit.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Right.
But for small startups, for example, or like for mid-sized startups, or like any web-based, that would be a tough situation for you.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree
just
with
keep
you.
just keep it in mind. It's again, like as Dmitry said, it very depends on your goal, right? And if you see yourself in that domain specific, you want to stay there, that's totally fine, right?
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, just be aware that it makes harder to transition to other domain as web, which is
Right.
right now the most popular, probably,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly. Yes. I'm with you.
And the same thing, for example, mobile testing. It's
Yeah.
also very specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it in mind. If I would be in your shoes, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm not,
Right.
but
No, but I want to hear what you said.
yeah, if I would be in your shoes, I would go and explore actually and try to customize. I would customize my resume for different domain specific industries, right? For web, I would preferably put it something which is more related to web. Obviously, everything that you have in your resume, it does make more impressive feeling. But again, like if you want to try to join to the company who is doing web, which probably more than 60% of them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you have to customize to them, and then learn deeper. For example, besides obviously Selenium, which is used to be, maybe it's still a benchmark for test automation in web. But as Dmitry said, there is other frameworks in JavaScript, for example, right? So if you learn JavaScript, maybe go that route, and you can gain the more experience there. So when you go to the interview for the web or for the mobile, you would be comfortable for that, right?
Right.
And again, like as I said to previous candidate number one and to you, try to make job easy for a hiring manager, you know, to distinguish yourself where you're going to. Like, okay, if you come to the, for example, if you come to the interview who is they're looking for web automation QA engineer, Obviously, if you come to them and you will start talking just on the embedded and hardware,
It's not going to make sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
That would be okay. That's great, but how it's related to what we need, right?
Right.
What do we need? So in this case, customize for that and try to talk on their language, what they're looking, right? Not what you want to show them. Something for for mobile, for example. If you go to the mobile, obviously your deep knowledge in Linux, it's a huge plus, definitely, right?
Yes.
Because, and I would show off with that too as well. But again, if you go for mobile automation, you should probably go study and do your own research in that more deeper and show that you can deliver actually what they are looking for, because I see previous candidates, a couple candidates that had very similar situation. They have their experience is very domain specific, and they were trying to shift their career in other QA, but it was very challenging for them, right?
Right.
Just keep it in mind. Again,
Yeah.
if you want to stay here, perfect. Your resume looks solid. You should have no issues. And for example, if I would go and apply for a QA position, which is for hardware, I would be in trouble too. It's
right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But like you said, I think 60% of the demand for QA is on the more on the cloud, more mobile type areas. So there's more. It's more popular. So if I can extend my skill sets to encompass up more of that stack, along with continue to do maybe some embedded type testing, I think that would be more of a progression for me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, since your field is pretty narrow and not so popular, there shouldn't be so competitive as a web. And for example, maybe this is just another idea. With your knowledge set, you can focus on and prepare yourself to get an interview to the fun companies, Google or I don't know, Microsoft, Amazon, who do all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Or maybe, I don't know, IBM or whatever companies like Dell, Hewlett Packard, whatever companies do all these hardware things.
Right.
And yes, the amount of positions in LinkedIn or whatever is less than for web, but I suspect that there should be a less competitive as well.
I do agree with you on that. Yeah. And one aspect is not as many companies focusing on this area, but then again, there's not as many candidates focusing on this area too. So yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And since you have pretty solid and I would say huge experience in this area, you should have pretty good chances to take an offer from any huge companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that especially Google and Microsoft and Amazon, they do a lot of this kind of stuff because they all of them have some kind of video processing and whatever related to this area.
Okay, I think we should be good. Candidate number 2, thank you very much for participating. Awesome job. Anyway, maybe, yeah, thank you.
And you were saying maybe what? I'm sorry.
No, Dmitry. So maybe let's wrap it up. We had 2 candidates today, and let's compare like so we saw candidate number 1 and we saw candidate number 2. What would you suggest both of them, right? Maybe in comparison.
Yeah. I can suggest in terms of career goals that each candidate should define what they like more and focus this area. Like candidate number 1 has experience with web and using Python and doing some API testing. Maybe I would suggest to focus this area, dig deeper, gain more knowledge in coding and coding skills, because for automation, when you proceed through the phone technical screening, like in, I would say 8 of 10 screening, you will have coding task, and because you're going to the automation engineer position, and all engineers, automation engineers, should know how to write code. And for for candidate number 2, as I said, try to figure out for yourself what way you want to go, because we describe few ways, like you focused on dig deeper in your field and try to go to the top companies, right? Or you can try to get wider knowledge and more, which has more demand on today's market, like web testing or mobile testing. But it should be, I would say it will be really challenges for you, because it kind of start over, and some of your experience will be inappropriate for that areas. But that's why personally, if I were you, I would focus on the dig deeper and focused on getting offer from top companies. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, great. We have a question in the Q&A section. I'm looking to break into Elixir programming with a Phoenix framework. What skills do I need to demonstrate to get employed developing and or testing in Elixir? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, we use Elixir in our company. This is for Elixir. This is a language for backend, and I know that WhatsApp created on Elixir. Here's the question: like, are you going to developing on Elixir or testing? And because it's like 2 different ways, right? If you're going to develop to the same way as you learn any other language, like Java or JavaScript, Node.js, whatever, or Python for backend, dig deeper and solve, like train yourself to solving a lot of coding tasks. And very important, get familiar with different data structures, scalability, and whatever very important for backend as a system design. Because for backend engineers, system design is a must. And Elixir is not so popular language today, but it's getting its popularity like from the month to month. And I would say good investment of your time and resources to learn Elixir and focus on Elixir development. Because I know when we hire an Elixir developers for backend, it's really hard to find good engineer, because it's just not so popular. But as I said with candidate number 2, that this can be advantages for you, right? Because you don't, in this situation, you don't need to compete with I would say hundreds of candidates, right? And this is pretty good way to get a good job and build your career.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Great. Anyway, I think we're all good for today. And thank you, Dmitry, for today's session. You get interesting insights for both candidates, I think.
Sure.
I want to say thank you to Irina, who was organizing our candidates. So in the future, guys, if you will be participating, probably will heard either from Irina or from other our volunteers. And thank you for joining to today's session to our both candidates and candidate number one and candidate number two. It's a brave gesture just to participating in that format. And whoever just joined as well, thank you for joining. And I'll see you in August. We'll do a short summer break. We'll skip July. And if you guys want to join, please follow us in the Slack, follow us in the YouTube, and I'll see you next session number 21 then. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.